Hello there everyone, my name's Cole and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to look at another starship here that I built. This one I call the Whale. It's modeled after the Kestrel from the game FTL, at least the color scheme and the layout of the hull, although the interior is much different. This is a research class ship and is designed for deep space exploration and long-term, scientific research and such. It's much different than the Falcon that we looked at last time, which was really just a fighting class ship. This one has no weapon armament at all. It has a few other small differences than the Falcon that we looked at. So we'll get a view from up top. And once we get up here, you can really kind of see the layout and how it resembles the Kestrel. So let's go ahead and go inside. Unlike the Falcon that we looked at last time, which is just right here, this ship does not have an airlock, and you have to access the ship through this command block. When we come up in here, we end up here in the teleportation room, or the teleporter room, rather, not the teleportation room. So, so we come up here. This is the teleportation pad. Nothing too fancy here. And over here is the console that the engineer would work at to bring people aboard and beam people off. And then this button here just takes you back outside. So we'll start off by going to the bridge. This ship has 3 levels to it. We ended up here on level 2. We'll come up to the bridge and I'll give you a brief description of kind of what's on each level. So I'll come up over here. I'm really happy with the way that the interior of this ship turned out. I didn't want to have a ship that was so totally closed off, but I also didn't want to have a really open concept design on it, and I think I got a really good mix of that in this ship. So down here on the first floor, we have the crew quarters over here, and then we have a laboratory over on this side. We already came in through the teleporter, which I believe was right here, if I remember correctly. So we have the teleportation room here, and on this side we have the med bay, and then up top we have the mess hall, and then behind it there's some storage. All along the back on all 3 floors is engineering, which we'll check that out in a few minutes here. So this here, unlike the Falcon, is a proper bridge. We have the captain's chair right up here with a little console workstation right up above. We have several workstations around for well, not obviously for weapons, because there aren't any weapons, but for, the science workstations, navigation, sensors, and so on. On either side of the bridge, there are 2 rooms. Over there is the conference room, and here is the captain's office. So in here, we just have a desk, a couple chairs, and a seating area. I really like the design on this part of the ship because we have windows that actually go all the way around. And over to the other side, so you can kind of see out into space wherever you are when you're on the command portion of the ship. So over here, as I mentioned before, is the conference room, or a ready room. Although there's no weapons on this ship, it is possible that it could be outfitted with it in the future, if this class of ship needed it. Nothing too fancy here. So we'll start off by going to the first floor of the ship, and we'll look at the crew quarters. I think it's staircases going up to either side, and then stairs right there that take you up to the 3rd floor. So over here, as I mentioned, is the crew quarters. We have a common area right here with a table, some seat, and some books to read, and a window that you can see outside. There are 6 rooms, 6 rooms with double bunks. Really nothing fancy here. The purpose of this ship is for research and for work. It's not a cruise ship. It's not here for people to enjoy themselves. It's not to live in the lap of luxury. It's here to do work and to do research. All 6 rooms here are exactly the same size, including the captain. The captain would have his room down in here as well. If the ship were to be re-outfitted, it's possible the captain could have his room up in the captain's office over there and have proper captain quarters. That didn't make a whole lot of sense to have that right next to the bridge, but it could be possible if this one needed to be re-outfitted. Here is a laboratory. You got a couple workstations around here, some storage area for specimens, refrigerated storage, or what have you. Some experiments running right here. A water tank right here, if they're looking at any sort of aquatic animals or aliens or what have you. And then a contained experiment going on right in here with a control station to control the experiment here. Around the ship, you'll see several of these panels here. This is where data would be displayed for the engineers and scientists and such. All right, so we'll head into the back of the ship here. This is main engineering on the ground floor. We'll go in there in just a second. On either side of the ship here, back in the wings, this is the cargo area. So we'll head up here and have a quick look. You can also access the second floor of the ship from here. So back in here we have a botany lab, or plant storage, or the place where they grow food, or house plants or whatever that they're transporting, or studying. In here, there's just some small cargo storage areas, some chests and some raw materials that they've picked up along the way. Same goes in here, maybe some spare parts. Just general cargo. And a little seating area. The other side is identical. So back in here, here's main engineering. This is my favorite part of the ship, I think. We got a big reactor core that spans all the way up the 3 stories, several workstations around, and the main reactor control here. This is just a redstone timer that goes up. Or not a timer, a clock signal that goes up and just pulses all the way up, which I think is pretty neat. We'll turn that back off, though. Yeah, just a workstation where you can control how the reactor's working, and a display readout as well. And just some workstations around here. Over around the other side, you also have a workstation, but then you also have some chest storage here. I like to throw a lot of chests and such in my builds in case I do want to build these in a survival world, though the amount of quartz that's in this building, in this ship alone, that's really unreasonable. It's just not going to be possible to build this. Not impossible, but improbable to build this in a survival world. But anyway, there's chests here to control, or to contain reactor fuel, or whatever engineering really needs. All 3 floors of engineering can be accessed from within engineering using these Jeffries tubes here. They're not really Jeffries tubes, I get that, but they're really just access tubes. Not a whole lot really to do on floor 2. Nothing with the main reactor, no real consoles or anything. It's really just more of an observation deck to see what's going on in engineering, kind of get a bird's eye view. The 3rd floor here, you can access the reactor, take out samples of, radiation or whatever. We're going to pretend that it's shielded and actually won't kill you. But, because it's Minecraft and we can do that. But, it's an area where you can just access the reactor core and see what's going on. And it's another little readout here. This lever does nothing, but it's there. All right, so this is the 3rd floor here. This is behind the mess hall, which we'll go into in just a second. This is just storage. Storage for main engineering to put, reactor rods, other spare parts, long-term storage that won't fit down in the cargo holds. Also, it would be storage for the mess hall as well. There aren't any replicators in the ship. Maybe there is. I don't know. Anyway, it's just mainly storage. This here is the food bar, place where food's prepared by the cooks. And here there's ample seating. There's a big table here for people to eat at, and then lots of small eating places right in here. So we'll go back down and we'll look at the final room, the med room. This is where we came in. This is the teleportation room, which we've already been in. But right here, this is the med bay. We have several beds for people to be in, plus an isolation chamber. These are pretty neat. I just used a couple snow blocks, or snow slabs, I guess is what they're called, here for the pillows, and then just some string underneath here to kind of create a little bit of a table. And over here, this is a full body scanner, similar to the one that the TSA uses at the airports, except it's not used for looking at your junk. This one actually has lots of medical application. And like most sci-fi shows, you can put somebody in there and know fully everything that's going on with them. So here's the med bay. A little waiting area right over in here. No chairs because, people need to stand. All right, so let's head back outside. We'll discuss some more stuff about the build. As I mentioned before, it's really going to be improbable that you're going to build this within a survival world because it's just so big. The ship, from head to toe, is 89 meters long, 89 blocks long. So converting that to real world, it's 89 blocks long, or 291.995 feet. From wing to wing, tip to tip, it is 71 meters long, or 232.94 feet, and it stands 19 meter tall, so about 62.336 feet tall. So it's quite the large ship. So to gather that many blocks, I'll include, like I did last time, I'll include in the description a count of how many blocks were used for the ship. I don't have that number offhand. I'll have to pull it out in MC Edit. But it's really just going to be improbable. Even if you had like a Fortune 3 pickaxe, you're not going to be able to harvest all of the nether quartz required in a reasonable amount of time to properly build this ship. Plus, the scale of it is just so big. I did build this ship in a similar fashion that I built the Falcon over here. I built half the ship and then used MC Edit to copy one half to the other. I just did that for the outside hull and then spent the rest of the time building out the floors inside the ship and then furnishing it. All in all, I built this. It took about, I would say, about 40 hours of straight building. I did it over a course of a couple weeks, but if I got rid of the break period times on the ship, I built it over about 40 hours. I spent, I think, about 6 to 10 hours right in around there building the hull. And then the rest of the time was building out the floors and furnishing it. The hardest part of this build was really trying to come up with creative fixtures for each part of the interior of the ship. Like, how do I create panels? How do I create futuristic looking beds for the med bay? How do I create a body scanner? Things like that, and still make it look sci-fi while using the vanilla texture pack. I know that there are some sci-fi style texture packs that are out there, and I looked at a few, and I wasn't too impressed with them. And I know the vanilla texture pack doesn't loan itself very well to the sci-fi theme, but I think this one really turned out well. It looks pretty good in the vanilla texture pack, and overall I'm happy with it. There's not a whole lot that I would change about this build, really. The decision, I knew going into this that this was going to be a ship that was not going to be feasible to build in a survival environment, so I really just kind of went all for it in creative mode and just built it the way that I really wanted it. I messed a little bit with making it longer and a little bit making it shorter, but I think I got the dimensions just right on it. Anyway, I hope you like what you see. Thanks for watching and have yourself a good day.